Welcome to the Work Well, Live Well podcast. I'm your host, Leanne. Drawing on the foundations of wellbeing science and positive psychology, I share tools, tips and strategies for people to intelligently manage their well-being so they can flourish into working well and living well. Today's guest is Narelle Lemon. Narelle is a writer, educator and researcher heavily influenced by positive psychology with over 25 years experience in educational contexts across early years, K-12, higher education, museums, arts and cultural settings and community. She currently holds the position of Associate Professor in Education at Swinburne University of Technology in Melbourne, Australia, where she works with those studying to be future teachers while researching across a variety of areas through a portfolio approach to her overarching interest of engagement and participation. Narelle's passion to make a difference, hear and share the voice of others, and to create possibility is led through her strengths of creativity, awareness, and curiosity. She is very much inspired by being a pracademic, and you can see this in the variety of research area, including positive psychology specifically aimed at empowering self-care routines, mindful practice and coping strategies, arts and cultural education, and her award-winning scholarship of learning and teaching work in social media use for learning and professional development. Narelle has published over 100 books, edited journal papers and book chapters, with 2 new co-authorised books influenced by positive psychology. Look out for Building and Sustaining a Teaching Career, Strategies for Professional Experience, Wellbeing and Mindful Practice, due out in May 2020. And Reframing and Rethinking Collaboration in Higher Education and Beyond, a practical guide for doctoral students and early career researchers. Narelle is also the creative director of Explore and Create Co. that offers workshops, coaching and resources for those looking to build their self-care through mindfulness-inspired strategies while building a toolbox of wellbeing resources that impacts both personal and professional growth. So let's get started. Hi Narelle, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Your passion is to make a difference, and it would be really interesting to know or understand what led you to do what you do.
Well, it's a nice, juicy question. I think for me, one of the most substantial things that happened in my life was experiencing a burnout, and I just didn't know what to do in that state. And I'm an educated woman, have a lot of networks, so I'm privileged in so many ways, but I just didn't know what to do with my well-being. And it made me realize that the only source of access for help that I knew was to go to my GP and go to my psychologist. And what it revealed in that time is that I didn't know what self-care looks like. I didn't know what well-being looks like on a daily basis. I didn't know, people would tell me, you've got to be resilient, but what does that really mean? Do we ever really unpack that? So I think I went through a period of in my life where I was burnt out for a sustained period of time. I kept on going, did the whole face, and no one really knew, only apart from a few close people. But in that whole process, I lost meaning, and I lost who I was and what I wanted to do. And I realized when I was seeking help and I was reading lots and trying to decode myself and the situation and also build resources and build my capacity again, that I had spent most of my life doing what everybody else wanted me to do, not what I wanted to do. So I was a great pleaser of other people. So I suppose burnout led to a huge journey in my life of figuring out what it was I really wanted to do, and I suppose that sparked that I absolutely love learning, and I love learning with other people, and I get really excited by ideas, and I love inspiring other people, but I love it when other people are inspired as well, and that energy and how you can bounce off each other. So that's become a really core part of who I am and what I do, with work in universities, but also with Explore and Create Co. And I suppose MAP, being a MAP graduate from Melbourne Uni as well, was also a core part of that journey of really finding that meaning and purpose, but a way to explain it as well. And I think one of the core aspects of coming out of that was the idea of strengths and your energy and what energizes you, and when you overuse them and underuse them, and those sorts of aspects. So it's kind of been this journey of understanding that for myself, but at the same time sharing it with others for that ripple effect, much like the work that you do as well. So I suppose my why has come back to the learning and inspiring others, as well as those inspiring me, and really coming through to sharing that with a curiosity.
It's groundbreaking, isn't it, when we have that inner wisdom, when we start to understand how those tools for resilience can empower us to really add meaning and purpose to our lives.
Oh, totally. And when you've got a language to be able to explain it as well, but to explain it to yourself, but to explain it to others is so powerful. And when that awareness and curiosity comes together for you, and for you to have those aha moments to understand what you're going through and how to come out of it in a positive way is pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of MAP, Professor Lindsay Oates, he talks about wellbeing literacy, and you say about the language. I think when we understand that language, or have that common language together, again, it opens up so much to us, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's also that acknowledgement that we call the same thing different things depending on where you're at on your journey as well, and having that ability to be able to pause and figure that out together, and discover, oh, you're talking about the same thing, and what that means to you. So that language is very, very powerful in the understanding for yourself, that collectiveness as well.
Yeah. You have strengths of creativity, awareness, and curiosity. This would serve you well in this field. How does what you do influence the well-being of others?
I guess I hope to instill possibility for people, and that we can care for ourselves, and that enables us to care for others as well. So I suppose my work in self-care and mindfulness is really about instilling confidence in people to realize that it's not selfish, that it is important, and that it's worthy of our attention, but we have to work at it. And the self is not positioning the I. We so hear about self-care as the I, and it's always I, but a part of self-care is the relational, and how that supports our work in our mental and physical and emotional areas of our life. So I hope I instill possibility in others to explore their self-care, and to really think about what's possible, and that the work that I do, I love framing it around that we have toolbox of resources. So it's not just one thing that helps us with our self-care, it's multiple things. It's a real package, and they come from a whole diverse different range of areas. They could be influenced by the PERMA model, for example, or PERMA H model, and they're varied over time. Some of them are little micro moments, some are things that we do every day, some are things that we do once a week, but it's for a longer sustained period of time. And so it's pooling all those resources together. So you've got that beautiful wellbeing toolbox that sustains you and keeps you going. So you can flourish and be the best version of you. But it means that when you need to, you can care for others as well. So I suppose, yeah, it's really instilling that possibility, and that you are worthy, and self-care is worthy, and that when we pair it with mindfulness and in regards to an awareness and a curiosity and being non-judgmental to ourselves, with our strengths and being fascinated with what energizes us to keep that toolbox going and exploring it, and partnering it with empowerment and agency, and that there is possibility to be proactive, and what that looks like is an area that, yeah, I'm quite passionate about, and I hope that that's what I instill in others as well.
When we talk about well-being, we'll talk about a toolbox, and I think that helps to change the view of well-being, in that, you know, all of a sudden we realise or understand that there are things that we can draw on, you know, simple things that can make a real difference to our well-being. In your field, do you have a particular go-to tool that you find most useful?
I think one of the most important areas is a bit of self-compassion. Not really a bit, a lot of self-compassion work. And the work of Kristin Neff is just amazing. And it's, when I discovered her work, it was life-changing. And I love that notion of, you know, how do you treat a friend versus how do you treat yourself? And she's done a lot of work around that, being non-judgmental to yourself, and being really aware. And we're so aware of how we treat a friend, and if they're in a time of need, what we say to them is very supportive, our tone of voice, how we listen, how, you know, even how we hold our body. We physically engage with them to support them. But then when we have a moment where we're under stress and pressure, we treat ourselves generally quite badly, and that mind chatter and that mind talk, and we forget how to treat ourselves as a friend and to be kind to ourselves. And in many situations, we actually have never even thought about treating ourselves as a friend. Self-compassion is something that I think is almost an essential part of a toolbox of well-being, and that's something I think I talk about a lot when I work with others in the university context, with future teachers, but also workshops more generally to different audiences as well. That it's a key strategy, a key approach, a key philosophy that we have to keep working at. But often that seed needs to be planted to realise that we need to work at it.
Yeah, I agree. There was a comment or a quote somewhere along the line I came across once, which, you know, said, we are the only person who spends our whole life with ourselves.
Yeah.
So, and you know, when I think about that, you know, we know ourselves really well, and when we draw on, you know, the work of Kristin Neff, which I also love too, you know, we can be very self-destructive in our self-talk, can't we? So understanding some of those tools is just so empowering.
Yeah, very much so, and that it is so worthy of our attention as well, to really nurture ourselves and think about how we do treat ourselves as a friend, and that particularly around that mind chatter that, you know, so many people often talk about. They can't sleep at night, or they wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and their mind is ticking over, and they almost got this script going over of, what do I have to do, and I haven't done this. Or there's been you know, an incident with somebody where they're playing over what they really want to say to them, or what they'll say the next time they see them, and it just keeps on going and swirling, and that ruminating, and really interrupting those patterns.
Yeah.
To support us and to help us to move forward is a huge one.
Yeah, as we find ourselves in a unique time in the world, how would you recommend people might navigate some of these challenges that we're experiencing?
Yeah, the energy in the world is really changing at the moment, and it's most definitely a dynamic time, and there's a lot of pausing and slowing down happening. which I think is a really great thing. And Mother Nature is forcing us to stop and really re-energizing herself. I know I've noticed there's more birds out, there's the sky is clearer, the air is clearer, it's all starting to shift. And I think what is standing out to me is the place of positivity and the place of those positive emotions, and that we know that positivity is infectious. And at a time right now in COVID-19, I think there's no better time to really highlight the place that we have for hope and for optimism and for smiles and for jolts of joy, for curiosity, all those, and there's heaps of other positive emotions, but all you're reframing and seeing it as a time where those aspects can come in. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, this is such a big time to refocus and reframe and to redo things. And really think about who's in our life, why are they in our life, how do we interact with them, how do we present ourselves, what is it that we do with our time. There's been, the way we engage with others now is primarily through the digital. How do we present ourselves? How do we still smile? How do we still connect with an energy, and thinking through those aspects. And in order to do that, we're having to really slow down and think about what that is for us, and how do we do it? Why do we do it? Who are we doing it with? And I know for me, this has been a huge time to reconnect with various people in my life who I might see once a year when I go overseas for a particular conference or for a particular activity for work. And I'm now engaging with them multiple times a week. And, we're engaging in different ways. Like I have friends in Malaysia, Borneo, who are doing little Instagram graphic competitions with each other that we never did before, but it was one that got shared and now it's just kept on going. I have a friend in Edinburgh who's sharing cat memes over Twitter. And there's beautiful WhatsApp conversations going on with the friends in America. And so there's this, I've never felt more connected now than I have previous to this. And it's really interesting how I'm finding the time and the space to connect with people that are really important with me, but it feels so authentic as well. And it's naturally happened that it's happening more. So does that make sense?
Yeah. It does. And when all of this COVID started to, raise itself, as an educator in wellbeing, when we started with terms like social distancing, I personally felt so concerned about how that might be perceived in the world. And I have to say, I'm so glad that the World Health Organization has changed their terminology to physical distancing, and that real social connection has changed. And I find that we are so much more connected. It's an exciting time, really, in a funny kind of way, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's even, work-wise for meetings. I don't know the last time I sat in a physical meeting face-to-face where we did a check-in and asked how we were. But with meetings now online, there is at some point an agenda item that validates a significant amount of time to allow people to check in and share how they are. Like even that change in connection is really beautiful. And they're things that I would hope continue to be a part of our everyday life, because we've had that opportunity to rethink how it is we're connecting and what we're doing. And personally in the home, I think we're cooking more when we're cooking together, whereas we would probably eat out nearly every night of the week, working long hours. You're tired. It's really easy to come home and go, hey, we'll just go to the pub for a couple of drinks and a meal, and you get into this cycle. Whereas now we're at home, we're cooking, we're planning, We're eating a variety of different food. We're eating far more vegetables, which is great. And there's this conscious decision to eat leftovers as well. So we're eating and planning in a sustainable way. And we have a meal together. We sit down at a table together, and we talk. The TV's hardly ever been on. So it's just changing on so many different levels in a really, really fascinating way. And I think it's got that beautiful ripple effect that I'm hoping will keep going, and for each of us individually, these things keep on going beyond this time in such a positive way.
Oh, I agree. There was a meme I saw recently, and it was along the lines of, do you get the feeling that Mother Nature has sent us to our rooms to have a think about what we've done?
Yes.
And I loved it. And it actually, we are finding ourselves thinking about, things in that context, I think, in many different areas of our lives. So, even though we are experiencing the most unique challenge possibly of our lives, we are also being forced to be creative and open and vulnerable and leaning into that fear and all of that. It's
so special because it's such there is so much pain, and there's a huge amount of vulnerability, and there are there's a huge amount of devastation going on, but at the same time there's a huge amount of opportunity. And opportunity, I mean, in terms of rethinking how you are and who you are and what you're doing. And I think that is what's really required. And I love that idea that Mother Nature is really, she's really gone, I can't do this anymore, guys. I'm burnt out. I am exhausted. Like, this is, how many signs do I have to give you that this is not working, people? And so we're forced in. And what comes with that is, I'm in the Otways at the moment, and I'm going for walks each day in rainforests that are at the bottom of our property. And I'm seeing birds that I haven't seen in 4 or 5 years. Every day I'm hearing more and more wildlife sounds. It feels brighter in colour. The air feels fresher. It's just, a combination of me noticing different things, but also I think Mother Earth starting to heal, and we're hearing stories globally of what's happening in that way. We're slowing down, and Mother Earth is rejuvenating.
Yeah. You also raise a very good point, because it's very easy to focus on what's going well, and I guess as wellbeing educators, we're wired to look at what's going well, aren't we? But the truth of the matter is that there is a lot of struggle out there, and it's important to recognise that as well. And I think a lot of this. What you have shared is so very important. If we know someone who's struggling, to help them with what tools we know or learn about, to help them and be a support for them.
Yeah, definitely. And it's reminding us that the power of listening is so crucial at the moment as well, and particularly for those who are struggling or they're angry, the fear that's coming out in various different ways. It's definitely a time to hone those listening skills and listening with your heart as well. And sometimes it is just that active listening. It is far more powerful than offering a solution. Jane Dutton talks about that there's pain in everybody in every room. And she reminded me that of yesterday when I listened to her in her webinar, and I was like, it is a time like that. Yes, we might be sitting on Zoom with a gallery room of 20 faces, and there's 20 different variations of pain going on there, but coming at it with an acceptance and being non-judgmental and an openness to listen and come with your hearts is being revealed as a crucial part of who we are and how we engage with each other at the moment.
As we come towards the end of our wonderful interview, do you have a book or a TED talk or quote, words to live by even, that you might recommend for the people in the audience?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about this, and I think one of the books I've been listening to on Audible is James Clear's Automatic Habits. And I think it's a beautiful reminder for the moment, because we are having to change our routines and our rituals, and the way our life looks is different, and everybody's having to deal with that in various different ways. And I think he talks about 4 steps, that there's a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. And I think right now is it's kind of a little gem of advice to think about, how does that connect with us right now in being at home more, being away from people physically, but still connecting with people in different ways, and thinking about also, what are your routines and rituals each day? What are the habits that you're doing to look after yourself while you navigate work or caring responsibilities? And yeah, thinking about, the power of starting small, and that the ripple effects, if there's consistent application of those little small steps over time, they become a huge contribution to what you're doing. It's a new habit, it's a new ritual, and that's quite a remarkable change. And so I suppose, it's his work that is inspiring me to, put my runners at the door. So when I see them, I go, right, I'm going out for a walk now, because I know that makes me feel really good. I get to experience beautiful nature. And I think it's a nice reminder for us of what habits, what routines and rituals are we going to interrupt for the better.
So I will share in the show notes all of the information of how people might find out more about you and connect with you. But what would be the best way to connect with you right now?
There's a couple of ways. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can connect with me at Rallypops, which is RELLYPOPS. A little nickname there that has a big story behind it, but which comes with love. So Rallypops on social media, or you can connect with me through my website. I'm blogging, but you can also find my email there, which is exploreandcreateco.com.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I have really, really enjoyed our chat, and I feel like we could connect another time and talk about so much more.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I've loved it as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me. Narelle is active on social media, sharing resources and offering tips, and she can be found on Twitter at Rallypops, or on Instagram at Explore and Create Co. and at Rallypops. And you will find out more on her website at www.exploreandcreateco.com. And I will pop the link to her book recommendation in the show notes. If you found this podcast of benefit, please share it with someone you think will benefit too. I love to receive your feedback and would be grateful if you could rate this podcast on iTunes. I invite you to connect with me through LinkedIn and Facebook. And thanks again for joining me. Until next time, wishing you well-being. Bye for now.